So something told me to watch the Timcast IRL podcast last night. I don't usually tune into it, to be honest. I know. I really like all three of them quite a bit, but it's just like, man, at the end of the day, I just want to hang out. I want to watch stupid reality TV. I want to knit, and that's all I really want to do. But something intuitively told me that I should tune in last night, and so I did. And I was really excited that I did because they actually had a fascinating conversation about how the role of addiction to social media and also Adderall plays in to younger millennials. And I need to emphasize younger millennials because technically speaking, I'm a millennial, but I do not want to be associated with the brand of SJW millennials at all. So they were talking about how younger millennials, because they're addicted to social media, they're addicted to that dopamine hit, they're addicted to Adderall because they've been on it all their lives and all through college and all this stuff, that's facilitating the anger and the angst and not only the mental changes that we're seeing when people go through social justice indoctrination, but also the physical changes that we're seeing. And I agreed with all of it. If they put a clip up of it, you should absolutely watch this discussion, this discussion, because it was a really fabulous, it was really great. But they missed one key point. I just want to add on to it because it's a really critical piece of this. That is the role of the addiction to these negative outrage emotions that these kids have. Listen, I hear all the time from people on the right, Carlin, conservatives make decisions rationally, but the left, they make all their decisions emotionally. And listen, at a very high level, there is a lot of truth to that. I do believe there is truth to the fact that people who tend to lean more left tend to be more open to infusing emotions overtly into their decision making. That's not to say the right doesn't do it, they just do it in a different way, while people on the right tend to be more skeptical. Whatever, fine. That's a different conversation for a different day. However, what I need you all to hear and really understand is that every single one of you makes decisions emotionally. Every single one of you does. You're simply processing the information in a different way. And our emotions, how we feel, are inextricably linked to the experience that we have in this lifetime. And our emotions are also something that we can become addicted to. So I'm going to explain why that is. I'm going to explain why I believe the addiction to these negative emotions, outrage, anger, all these emotions that we see from SJWs all the time, this is actually one of the most dangerous parts of the equation. But before I get into that, guys, I'm trying to grow the channel. If you like what I'm doing, please make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. You're all YouTube pros. You all know the drill. That's it. Let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about the mind-body connection when it comes to emotions. And let's just think really high level for a second. You've all experienced this at some point or another. Think about the last time you had a nightmare. Okay, you had a nightmare. You had a nightmare that you were being chased through the woods by an axe murderer, and if they caught you, they were going to kill you. And so you're running really fast through the woods, and all of a sudden, you wake up, and you're laying in bed. Now, how does your body feel? How does your body feel in that moment? Well, probably your heart's pounding. That's probably happening. Maybe you're shaking. Maybe your whole body is tense. Maybe you're out of breath. Maybe you're shaking and all this. You're feeling like you just ran a 5K, right? That's what you feel like. You're feeling like you just ran the fastest 5K you've ever run in your life. Did you just run a 5K? No. You were laying in bed, asleep, fast asleep. You're all the sweat dripping off of you as though you've just run a race. You were laying in bed the entire time. So what happened? What happened? Well, when you had that nightmare, you felt negative emotions in your head. When you feel negative emotions in your, well, I shouldn't say negative, when you feel any emotions in your head at all, any emotions, when you feel any emotions intellectually up here, what the brain does is it tries to help us out. And what it does is it creates all sorts of hormones that make its way into our body. So you feel something in your head, your brain has all these reactions. We're going to talk about those in a sec. Hormones flow into your body. And that's why you have a physical manifestation of the emotions that you are experiencing in your head. Now, the brain doesn't judge. It doesn't judge what emotions you're feeling. It doesn't say, well, you know, Carlin, fear is not really the best emotion for you to be feeling right now, so I'm going to send you beautiful, happy thoughts of safety and security instead. No, the brain doesn't work like that. The brain says you're afraid emotionally, boom, fear. Your whole body is going to feel it. You're going to tense up, shaking like a leaf, all that good stuff. That's how it works. Let's read this article. Hormones, or a portion of this article. We're not going to read the whole thing. Hormones and chemicals linked with our emotions. Emotions are very complex and have different meanings to different people, but essentially emotions are a conscious experience that are categorized by states of mind, external and internal reaction, and expressions. There are many different emotions, including affection, anger, angst, anguish, annoyance, anxiety, apathy, arousal, awe, boredom, etc., etc. I'm not going to read that whole list. You can look up an emotion wheel if you want the full list of emotions. Emotions are not really made out of anything, but how we feel emotions can be described. Emotions come from the arousal of the nervous system. Millions of chemical reactions taking place in our brain at any given time. Chemical reactions occur because of synapses. Synapses are part of the nervous system, and it is through these that neurons are able to transmit messages using neurotransmitters. Emotions are typically measured in physiological responses, such as a pounding heart, sweating, blood rushing to the face, and the release of adrenaline. Expression is also a major part of emotions. Expression is associated with parts of the nervous system, such as the motor cortex, limbic system, and brainstem. And the parts of the nervous system that affect emotion the most are the frontal lobes and the amygdala, and blah, 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 brain science stuff. We experience a variety of emotions throughout the day. Mostly these emotions are transient in nature. But when these emotions become intensely negative or are unremitting, they can dramatically affect our biochemistry and behavior. Certain brain areas and the presence of levels of different chemicals in your brain controls emotions. For example, if we are in danger, our brain releases stress hormones that can initiate fight or flight reactions by flowing certain regions with neurotransmitter, essentially adrenaline. So what this is saying, that when we feel something, it's backing it up, right? When we feel something emotionally, there's a reaction in the brain, and those hormones come into our body. And it's even saying this can result in physical changes in the body. Okay? And we see this, and they brought this up last night on the Timcast IRL podcast, right? They talked about the physical changes that we can see in these before and after photos. Before social justice indoctrination in college, after social justice indoctrination in college. And look at these photos. I mean, all I had to do was a quick Google search of like before and after pictures, and we have really like pretty happy girls, mostly girls obviously, on one side, and then the after photo is like they're almost unrecognizable. They're cutting their hair, they look meaner, they look angrier. These are, I mean, look at even this one. Look at this. Hope that actually pops up. There we go. Like she looks so nice in this one. Nice, sweet girl. And then the after photo is just crazy. And so what I'm going to make the argument of in this video is that this is a direct example of what happens when people exist in these negative emotional states all of the time, for years with these people. I mean, listen, outrage culture, cancel culture, all this stuff, this is not new. When they go to college, they are in it for 4 years in a very confined, very, they're seeing the same people every day. They're taking classes from the same professors. They're in it for years. And so I think what has happened to these kids is these emotions, these negative emotions, have become such a part of their experience that they become addicted to it. Because remember, anytime we have an emotion in our brain, a chemical is going to go into our body. So let's think about this logically. I use this example with work stuff all the time. Say you're really stressed out at work, and your primary stressor at work is your boss. Okay, and you've worked for this boss for years, and every day you come in and see the boss, you just get all fired up and stressed out, and your brain has that reaction, and those hormones make its way into your body, and so your body feels physically stressed. Every time you see your boss, you have a visceral negative reaction. And then your boss goes on vacation. And the first day your boss is on vacation, it's like, you're feeling good. You're like, life is good. It's easy. Oh my God, why can't the boss be on vacation all the time? Second day, you feel the same. Third day, you start to get a little antsy. You start to be like, is this too good to be true? What starts happening on the third day? I've seen this over and over again in organizations. What starts happening on the third or fourth day when the boss has gone on vacation is people start creating problems where no problem existed. They start getting snippy with their coworkers. They start doing things like, they get mad. They're like, why didn't you put a smiley face on the end of that email? They get mad over really stupid things. What's happening? Well, the boss, who had been creating all those stress hormones in their heads that went into their body, now their body's not getting that little fix of hormones. Every single day, every single time it sees the boss, they're not getting that fix of hormones. What happens when we are used to something being in our body all day, every day? Think smoking, think drinking, think sugar. We go through withdrawal. Our body will actually go through a physical withdrawal when those negative emotions are removed from us. Because your body's like, brain, we had a good thing going here. You got upset. I got those nice little hormones. What the what? And you actually start unconsciously looking for things to be upset over. This is the very basis of outrage culture. If they don't have something to be upset over, they're addicted to that outrage. They are addicted to those hormones. They are addicted to those outrage, upset, anger, frustration, angst, whatever. They're addicted to those emotions. And when they don't have something to be upset about, they create problems. And we are seeing that left and right. How many things are getting canceled right now? Because they're feeding their addiction. And this is what is really important to understand. This is not a logical addiction. I had a conversation on Twitter last night. People were like, well, Carlin, why wouldn't people just choose happy emotions? Well, some people do. We all know those people that choose to be happy. Every single person knows someone who chooses to be happy. No matter what. They're just always in a good mood, always pleasant, all that stuff. There are people that do that. With the social justice warriors, we're seeing people who do the opposite. What I liken it to is there's actually research that says that women who are in abusive relationships for a long time, they get out of the relationship, they stand up for themselves, they leave the abuser, they get out of those relationships. Those women are significantly more likely to jump into another abusive relationship. Now, are they just unlucky? No. And this is the saddest part of this entire thing. They're not just unlucky, they unconsciously, because being in that relationship for so long, they got so used to it, they got addicted to it. It became their comfort zone. When you are in something for a long period of time, it becomes your comfort zone. When you leave it, it is inherently uncomfortable. And remember, what happens up here makes its way into the body. If it's mentally uncomfortable, it's physically uncomfortable. Okay? So even if you get out what is logically a really negative situation, that's still your comfort zone. And your body craves that, and your brain craves that. Listen, man, it takes work to build a new habit, to break a bad habit and to build a new one. It takes work. You are very literally changing the physical structure of your brain when you're doing it. And so that addiction results in them being significantly more likely to jump into another situation that is reminiscent of what they've already left. Okay? Same with social justice. These SJWs, they are so addicted to these emotions that it is going to be a really, 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 really difficult habit for them to break. And that's why when we look at these pictures, oh my God, they age so quickly. SJWs age so quickly because they are always angry. They're addicted to that anger. It is actually insane. You've got these nice happy pictures on one side, and on the other side you can just see like the despair in their eyes in a lot of them. Just like angry looks. It is insane. That's why that's happening. That's why. Because they have those emotions. They are in that state. They are addicted to it. I don't know the answer to getting them out of it. I don't know the answer other than to continue to try to talk sense into them to a certain extent, because they have to disrupt, they have to be willing to disrupt the thought process that is gutting them to this point. That's what we're talking about. So that's the piece that was missing from Tim and Adam's and Lydia's conversation. I think it's an important piece to consider. Again, I don't know the answer to it just yet, but maybe if we keep talking about it, we'll figure it out.